guys, and glad to have you on board again today. We're on board for a long shot. This is one that I wanted to record for so long. And as I see more and more people digging below the surface of the Atom token and the Cosmos ecosystem in general, I thought it was an appropriate time to do it as well. For the many reasons that you guys have heard about this token for a long time, and this ecosystem as well. I've been following it for way longer than that. But as it finally starts to grasp people's attention, I thought it was an appropriate time to fully review this. All I know about the Cosmos ecosystem, all the underlying dynamics, and all of the things that you guys really need to know if you ever thought about investing into this, because there are lots of misconceptions. It's really an evolving ecosystem, and people who will try to replicate what happened in the past will make severe mistakes. So without further ado, we're going to dive real below the surface. I'm not just going to scratch the surface and say, well, Atom looks like a good coin about to break out or whatever. Okay, it's much more complicated than that. And what I'm talking about is, yes, the Atom token itself, but definitely not everything about it. You're going to have to understand how this ecosystem works if you want to eventually even take a profit from this. Most importantly, I think the vision of all these projects all along has been very well thought back then. We're going to study everything about it. Basically, we're going to scroll back right at the beginning of that project, how it built itself, how it structured itself, how the team has been working on, what the team has been working on, how much it's been costed into atoms. We'll see everything about the token supply, the token distribution, everything about what the money has served to create, how this value has been rippling into the ecosystem, what's the weird mechanic that has been putting itself into explaining why these airdrop seasons are actually existing and all of these things. I'm going to uncover everything, how this whole thing is evolving, because that's crucial to understand. Play the previous game and you're going to be wrecked, or at least you're going to take extended amount of risks without nearly even understanding what you were doing. So I'll try to make it clear, kind of a broad tutorial on how to low risk get into evolving yourself in the Cosmos ecosystem. Okay, we start immediately by looking at the roadmap and all of the things that we're going to have to pay attention to. But first, quick look at history. Okay, if we have a look at this, well, we understand, first of all, that the Cosmos is something real old. It goes right back to 2017, in which they've been raising something like $17 million. But understand that, of course, when the ICO comes in, means the idea itself, the white paper, has been built up way before that. And if you have the time to do it, I sincerely recommend you guys to look at this white paper. You will see staggering precision on what the vision was all about even back then. It's incredible to see that if you put things right back in the perspective of what happened back then, so this is the 2015 to 2017 years, well, this idea of smart contract became, and these guys were really talking about the internet of blockchain back then. It's incredible. And incredibly smart, because of course, if this thing turns out to be the future, and we're always going to say ifs, even though I have my personal beliefs, and I'm definitely going to disclose it right now. I am holding Atom as well as some of the tokens in this ecosystem. I haven't came in yesterday. I do have these coins for some time now. I'll explain everything about it, but of course, I'm not going to be centric on my personal case scenario. I'll explain all of the different cases in which you can be into if you were a long-term investor, mid-term investor, depending on where and when you came in terms of the cyclical action of these things. I'll tell you everything about it. So first, the story. Okay, so I doubt most of you guys have been investing in the ICO. But if you ever did, well, forever you're going to be happy with Cosmos, because it's eventually never going to turn out to be a loss for you looking at the prices you got. Still, they've been raising $17 million, and the token distribution, always very important to figure out if this is dumb projects or long-term vision, has been kind of very conservative. I've seen lots of long-sighted projects like that taking way more than 20% of the initial token distribution. They've been selling 80% for the investors, which is, well, of course, they haven't been rising that much compared to the other ICO frenzy that there was back then. Looking at the vision of this thing, well, could definitely have been taking more money in the pockets. So they took limited amount of money regarding the size of the projects. So I would say very conservative approach. These guys weren't there for the money, and we can see it just by their actions. Okay, so that's one thing. What I like then is that full disclosure, very great, full of transparency. They have released a GitHub repository that tells us everything about the initial token distribution. So you'll know everything about it. It's basically, well, there has been, for example, in here, the Interchain Foundation, because there are two companies building for these stuff. There is the Interchain Foundation, which has been distributed tokens by 2 wallets of 3 multi-signatures and 5, both of them receiving approximately 20 million atoms back then. And the second thing, everything is on this thing, and you'll see all the accounts, all of the team accounts, all of the early investors accounts, private, public sale, everything is disclosed. Very great in terms of transparency. For the AIB, which is All In Bit Incorporated and so-called right now Tenement Inc., has been receiving 21 million atoms approximately on a 5 multi-sig wallet. Though really, really important to see transparency on the token distribution in the beginning. I can hardly say how crucial it is. Those who lack of transparency either have something to hide or this is rug pull. But anyway, it doesn't take that much to disclose these things. So when it's done, it's great because lots of others simply don't do it. Okay, so no shadows in here. Very great. We know how the token distribution is. We can follow all of these accounts in the actual token explorers, which we of course will do. So if we look at the rich lists, immediately we'll see all these accounts. First one in here for Interchain Foundation. The second one, if my memory is right, is in here, and the KP Jet is no more than the initial all-in-bits multi-sig that has been sending this token to this new address, probably wanting to get out of multi-sig stuff. So this is cool because we can see how much money they've been spending. They had relatively 10% of the market cap back then. Remember, 20% of the initial distribution were to the teams. So they've been selling approximately half of it when it comes to all-in bits, and pretty much the same thing comes from the duplicated accounts of Interchain Foundation. So out of the 10% initial distributions they received each, they pretty much burned half of it so far. Remember, 2017 ICO for $17 million, okay? We're today in 2022, so this is pretty normal. In terms of token distribution among and over time, this is very consistent selling, meaning that they weren't taking money off the market because they fear of going out. They've maintained their fucking job. They had vision, they just did it over time. So real great. This is constant selling. You can study everything if you want to. This is regular expenses kind of sellings. So this is not the kinds who are losing faith in the projects and dumping in ahead of investors or whatever. They're just constantly selling a bit to call for expenses. And they have so far, so 5 years later, only burnt half of their initial supply. Very great. That still means also they have lots of gas in the tank. Very great. Okay, so $17 million raise, plus extended amount of sales in here that account for an approximate selling pressure. If we take the appropriate amount of time and sales that they've required to sell these things, it comes from approximately less than $1 billion of general sales. So very great. They have lots of money now and they can work efficiently over time with this, and they still have some gas in the tank. That's all we needed to know for the token distribution and the token supply. If you want to follow these accounts, of course, do it yourself, do your own research. Though this is everything we have to know about this. Okay, so then we need to understand what this ecosystem is and the story of Atom. Because of course, Atom is the first chain of the ecosystem itself, and lots of people don't really understand what its purpose was in the background. So Atom, as being the first one, is the blockchain that has been ICO'd, which means this is where the chains, the Interchain Foundation and All In Bits Incorporated take their money out of. So they develop for the whole purpose of the entire ecosystem. What you need to understand is that from scratch and from the vision of the founders themselves, the Cosmos Hub has a very particular way of doing things. Even the founders themselves admitted that at some point the Cosmos Hub may eventually even lose its interest in the ecosystem, meaning that it isn't essential. It hasn't been all-coded anywhere and never will be. It's in their visions to never, ever impose a specific particular way of the Cosmos Hub being kind of a super chain in the ecosystem. Cosmos Hub will have no other purpose than the others can't get to. It's really that is staggering in terms of vision, and that is posing a lot of problems to institutional regular investors, because this is basically like investing into something in which regular coding expenses will be pulled out. There are regular sales from the teams to finance their dev teams. And on the other hand, there is absolutely no hard-coded way to get paid back. Basically, everyone can take out of what's created by the Cosmos Hub and the team's devs without ever having to give it back to the Cosmos Hub. So this is pretty shitty kind of tokenomics and economics in general. It's basically we're going to give it away for free for you to use, and we're going to make it easy for you guys to build blockchains, and we're never ever going to ask anything back in return. So this is crazy shit, really. If you understand that, there's just only cypherpunks really to do it, and these guys are definitely the core of Cosmos. This is one reason these blockchains and this ecosystem is particular. There's no other replicate out there. This is where all the crazy hard coders and cypherpunks have been attracted to, because this is their vision all along. We're not here for the money. We're here to change the world. This is what Cosmos has in store for us. So once again, when there are big dreams, there could be big disappointments. This is the reason why lots of investors are very cautious about atoms, and they have the right to. Like I said, when it's not hard-coded to say, we give for free, though you have to give us at least that part of it. This is the ecosystem standards. Look at AVAX, look at DOT. They have someone forced the ecosystem as it grows to give back in some forms to their native tokens. Not the case for Atom, and never will happen. They've made it real clear. We're ready to see the Cosmos Hub die rather than changing our core fundamental vision. Absolutely staggering kind of vision, by the way, but very dangerous for those who are invested in atoms, because that also means you can be the chicken in the party, the one that goes here, finance the stuff, and don't get the rewards. So really weird economics that has pushed a lot of investors away. This is also the reason why there's been very, very non-attractive kind of price action in the first years. Meaning basically the Cosmos Hub shows up. This was an independent blockchain back then, out of the vision of this ecosystem of blockchain, internet of blockchain so-called, because basically the center of that maze was to create the tech, though create the Cosmos Hub, the Cosmos SDK, which is no more than a modular version that helps you create faster blockchains without too much coding knowledge. So this is basically like a toolkit that helps you create blockchains on demand, way easier than what the others were doing out there. So making it easy for everyone to create blockchains one byte at a time. So by building this SDK first, by building consensus layer, which is no more than a PBFT, delegated Byzantine fault tolerance, and of course they're improving on this thing over time so they can implement much better things and so on. We'll explain everything about the distribution of computing power over these networks and how very smart it is. Some people tend to say AVAX has the smartest way to put the tech out there. I'll tell you how this decentralized BFT system with decentralized share security can be much more efficient than just subsampling random stuff. We'll explain everything later. Okay, so basically they're building a consensus layer, very multi-purpose scheme, so they can be customized to get more TPS at a more centralized cost, of course, and all of these things. We'll explain everything. Then comes all of the other things, building services, they're building higher tech modules and things like that. And in the end, the vision is that the Cosmos Hub is supposed to be the security hub of this entire thing, meaning that this is the most expensive blockchain that can share its security. But of course, like we've always said, nothing is granted. Everything is permissioned, meaning that everything that the Cosmos Hub does on the ecosystem has to be approved by all the blockchains. And not all, every blockchain is self-sovereign, meaning that they can activate some modules or not. They can activate some features or not. They are fully independent. So like we said, everyone is independent and free to use these things that we have paid for. Atom token holders have paid for these things to be built for everyone to use without ever being granted anything back. Silly economics, though absolutely no interest in the token in the first place. This was a bear market back then, and everyone would even understand that. So very little demand, but the people who were close to the projects and really understood the depth and the vision of it, and understanding that they were building something for the future that will never ever bring back the rewards in a short run, and wouldn't even be sure about bringing it down in the future due to this weird economic stuff. So absolutely no intrinsic value in the token back then. No one but the insiders were interested in atoms. Okay, then of course came the usual cyclical activity. We can see that there's been no more than cyclical behavior on Cosmos for its entire existence. And back then it was just basically, okay, the coin goes too expensive, people sell, the company takes profits or takes money to develop, so prices go down, we go way too low, so people get in, and so on. Okay, kind of a balance range stuff. Real great because it sets value. Okay, then something happens in here. This is where we started building some of the blockchains. This is where the Osmosis blockchain and all of the things started to create themselves. So they've attracted somehow attention to the system, but very limited ones. As you can see, we totally failed to break out because prices weren't sustained back then. And anyway, it was just isolated blockchains. There was the Cosmos Hub and no one ever existed around it. So back then, very limited price interest for everyone investing in Atom. Basically, this was just let the time pass. We're building something for the future, but it's definitely not happening now. Okay, so back to range. And then comes the actual IBC release. This was the milestone that tells us, okay, we've built the vision, we've built the tech. Now here it is. We're putting it into motion. We're actually connecting the blockchains that have been using the Cosmos SDK. They're not going to be forced to. They're going to, of course, permissionlessly accept whether or not they want to be part of that hub, not the Cosmos hub, but the multi-chain thing. Okay, do they want to intercommunicate with the others? IBC. So this is where the actual protection starts. At that point, the vision of Cosmos is pulled in front of people. It's working. They've been working for it, and now it's there. So, of course, this is where the first pumps show up. That's really interesting to think about it, because what happened before, I'm going to call it the early investors, the phase one investment, okay? Or I'm going to say early investors, though this is really early token distribution, basic standard mechanism of insiders and nowhere else. This is the first generation investors. This will be the second generation, and I'll explain a bit about it later. This is the first token value accrual distribution system, and the second one that is still going on now. We'll explain everything about it. Okay. So first generation is no more than the people who caught attention from this thing very, very early. And I so goddamn wish I could be there, because I've missed that for just a couple of months. Way too bad, but still. Okay, so it goes up, and then for some reasons, weird distribution goes in. I remember I got in Atom exactly there. And I was like, boy, this thing is so great. The vision is enormous. This price is going to keep rising. I didn't understand anything about the actual economics going behind. Because if I did my due diligence back then, I would have figured out this weird economic going on. That I'll explain. Once the IBC has been put into motion, this all weird stuff, okay, has to be explained entirely, because if you do not understand that, lots of troubles ahead. Okay, this is what goes on. I think the map of zone is really the best way to experience the Cosmos ecosystem as a whole. So this is what happens. In the first places, before IBC, Cosmos Hub was all alone. There was Osmosis and a couple of other blockchains that have been developed with these things, but they were not interconnected with each other. IBC started this, connecting these blockchains together. So basically, that was the first time that the tech proved to work. But what's great is that after this, we've seen something weird happen. Osmosis blockchain, which was able to communicate with the Cosmos Hub, decided to airdrop a significant portion of its supply solely to the Atom holders. Basically, we are going to create value out of the stuff that you build, okay? We were never meant to give back in some forms, because we were never forced to. We could just have taken the value and got the hell out of, just like Terra did. And in that perspective, creating all the value, and as we're not forced to send money back, why would we do it? Well, these guys are cypherpunks. And of course, the guy who built out Osmosis was working for Tenement Inc. back then. So this is kind of a complex mesh of people who all knew each other. So they created this weird economic in which I'm not forced to give it anything back, but I'm going to do it anyway. And I'm not just going to send a bit of money. I'm going to send most of my supply to you. I created thanks to you. I'm going to give back, even if I don't have to. This is where this first of a kind, massive airdrop economy started pulling itself in the first generation. Because all other layer ones, or not layer ones, but first generation blockchains that deployed and connected through IBC, not all of them, but most of them have been airdropping massive amounts of their supplies to the Cosmos holders as a kind of a thank back thing that was never granted in the first place, never hard-coded, never in the code. Nothing was forced. It's just basically, we could have made millions by selling to private investors. We've decided to give it back. crazy shit. You only will see cypherpunks doing such a thing. Though, of course, those of the Cosmos Hub who've been receiving the Osmos tokens back then now are pretty damn happy about it, because now that you see how much Hotham are worth, well, you understand why the actual token economics and prices of Cosmos totally doesn't tell the truth. Those who've invested in Atom, they have perceived way more than the Atom increase in price. First of all, they've received passive income from staking, but most importantly, these massive, unprecedented airdrops have created shitload of value for Atom holders, and no one sees that on the price. So if you pull it that way, I've seen lots of people looking at this and say, well, boy, do you remember that? This is the massive breakout of the entire ecosystem back then in 2021. How come this asset has performed so weak? Well, this is the reason why. Because most of the value that those who have early invested into this have perceived is hidden, not for you to see in the Atom token price, because none of the token economics in here suggest us to repay back in atoms. Everyone has been paid back in Osmo tokens or other things, and very little of it has gone back in Atom. So the Atom price does not even translate a third of the actual value that those early investors perceived. Reason why, I'm going to start right now. If you've been among the early investors, there's not even a chance you're ever going to lose money in the Atom ecosystem. Why? Because even if Cosmos ever dies, you've already made 5 to 10x on this. I mean, it's even more than that. Let's assume you've been paying $2, okay? You've made 40x, 15x on this, just on the sole token price. And I'm not even talking about 2 years of staking, okay? But this is all about it. This is 15%, or let's call it 12 to 30%, 13% staking rewards a year. So you've got 25% on top of your initial investment plus a 15x. So this is approximately 20 to 22x return for early investors. And I'm not even including the token prices of the freely granted Osmo and other tokens that have been massively airdropped to the early adopters. So these guys really, they have made a lot of money already. There's not a chance they'll lose it, even if Atom dies over time. And we'll talk about that. Then comes the first generation investors, those who've listened to this after these things, and they've got in before IBC. Well, these guys have received the airdrop, because that's the second mechanism you have to understand. Airdrop seasons are backwardations, meaning that what they happen is that the snapshots are created before, and then, only then, you will hear about the airdrops. So there's no way you can take the airdrop season when it shows up. It's always before. You have to anticipate the airdrop season in order to get the rewards. That's what explains most of this cyclical activity. There are cycles into Atom's lifespan because it is mostly driven by these snapshot airdrop seasons. Snapshot, then airdrop season. When, of course, the airdrops show up, people talk about it on social networks. It attracts speculation on people thinking that they can grab it, but they cannot because, of course, the snapshots are before. And then prices drop as the entire ecosystem, cryptos in general, falls, though of course Atom makes no exceptions to this, and we go right back to the second entry point where I got myself in massively. Okay, so this is where I've understood the economics. I was there in here and I said, no, now I understand. Okay, I'm going to accumulate in here and this time I'm not going to get fucked. I've missed all of the first generation drops, so I'm going to get the second generation. Okay, now today here comes the second generation. Of course, like I said back then, videos to prove it. Okay, I told you, think about how this system works. If you want to get eligible for the airdrops, you have to get the fuck out of centralized exchange. You have to delegate to multiple validators. You got to follow the rules. These guys tell you how to do it. Just be smart enough to listen. You do not just scratch the surface. If you want to be part of that ecosystem early, listen to these guys. They are cypherpunks and they tell you how they want you to do things to play along this game. The game has always been this. If you delegate through centralized exchange, you will get no rewards. Get the tokens out of exchanges. Delegate to multiple validators, and then vote on the actual governance things. So they want you to participate. So if you just want to get in for the token to rise and take a shitload of money, then go elsewhere. AVAX can do it pretty well everywhere. DOT can do it as well. If you go to the Cosmos ecosystem, they want you to be smart by design, to understand how this thing works, and they want you to goddamn participate. You're not just here for the tokens to rise, otherwise you'd just be disappointed by the Atom token price. The mechanics are way, way more complex than other things. So you go in, you anticipate the rewards, and then comes the second reward, okay? Though here it is, something has changed now, okay? Just look at it. Though Atom, okay, Atom, Juno, Osmo, Juno swap, Juno, Atom, Osmo, Juno, Juno, Atom, Osmo, oh boy, XPRT, Atom, Luna, Osmo. So now the airdrops are not just targeting solely the Atom holders. Back then, you were taking a significant chunks of the airdrop supply, of the supply being airdropped, and it was entirely dedicated to Atom holders. Second generation of airdrop is distributed. All of the ecosystem participants and the headliners receive their shares, which means that if you understand that second layer of economics, the first generation airdrops have been airdropping significant portions of money back to the Cosmos holders. And these blockchains, man, Juno and Osmo drops so much gains for those who took him. It's really, really crazy. And they have been way more money back then than if there was just buying some other more rapid shit like AVAX or whatever. Just the value accrual of these two airdrops is crazy immense. Okay, still, though this was the first generation, you took a lot of it. You've got hell of the returns compensating for the actual downside price pressure that there was from the sales. So this was just, okay, there is no price increase, but there is much more behind the surface if you were lucky enough to dig it. But of course, the problem is this, is that when you figure out about these airdrops, you're not eligible for them. You understand afterwards that you just missed it. And most people just pass away on that point. They say, okay, I missed it, maybe future. And they forget about the second generation and the thing that something is putting itself in motion. But the second generation dilutes, which means when a newcomer comes in, today, on the second generation, what they're doing is that they're dropping Osmosis, they're dropping Cosmos, they're dropping Juno, they're dropping some other guys like Secret, as you've seen, though that means that there are two mechanics at play. The first one is that they distribute less of the token supply. Remember that these chains are self-sovereign. They decide what they want to do, and they have not been forced to do anything. So they play by the rules, meaning that they've used for free, so they feel like they have to grant back at some point, but they certainly do not grant back all to the sole Atom holders. They hold to the big players in the ecosystem. So the second generation of airdrops certainly does not have the same perspectives than the first one. It also comes with, if you're solely invested in Atom today, have no Osmo and Juno and whatever, then you receive a far less portion of the airdrop. Less of the token supply is distributed, and more of that distribution comes to others as well. So your relative perception of that airdrop is severely decreased. So yes, there are more chains, but there are less money received from each chain. And most importantly, as this ecosystem matures, you have to understand that just like every ecosystem, 80% of it is absolute crap that will never create anything over time. There are some gems, definitely, but as we progress, there are two mechanics. The first one is that more chains connects, so more bullshit chains will be there, but the relative value you perceive from each chain goes down, which means the chance for you to perceive good value from the good projects that will survive over time is diluted significantly, though the second generation is far less rewarding for Atom holders and those who solely hold Atom. So the second generation has to be multi-chain. You have to spread yourself to these guys who are targeted by the airdrops. Though you start to understand the mechanics, they are generations, okay? There was the core first layers in which most of the value you get. The second layer, you get far less value, but there are more chains, so you have to figure out which ones are the good ones to hold and which ones are the ones to sell because they're actual crap. But you can still take value out of it to compensate for the very weak price action of Atom. Atom has been underperforming the rest of the market. So you must get external rewards to justify the fact to hold this token. And like we said, the second mechanic is that you have to hold the token out of exchanges, delegate, vote, participate, and you have to do it all ahead of the airdrop without ever having the certainty of receiving something, not even knowing how much you'll get. So this is really, really concerning because, of course, all of these short-term gamblers are not attracted by this business model. This is really for actual people wanting to participate and understand the value of it. Only those who do this get the rewards. Once again, very smart, but very dangerous type of business model as well, because it totally does not attract the big money. And money is important in some systems. So they have created absolutely massive tech and a crazy, crazy, crazy vision. It has played so long, but 2022 is going to change it. Because now that it gets visibility and now that people start to understand these things and dive into this, I think the mechanics are going to change. But most importantly, if you were thinking about it, like you just heard about it recently and you said, okay, maybe I'm just going to buy that Atom thing. It looks very great now. Well, this could be a mistake, because if you understand the mechanics I've said, it's not good for the Atom token. The more time passes, the more this past mechanic of I go in and I take some airdrops to compensate for the very weak price pressure, well, in that perspective, you pay for the developments and you receive very little rewards for this. So if this mechanics keeps going, the third generation will see even more chain, but you will receive even less true value, because most of these chains will be bullshit, and the value that comes from the very little good chains will be very diluted because they're going to have to distribute to everyone. So the first way to compensate is to understand that if you buy solely the Atom today, you're going to have a lot of problem, because lots of the airdrops will be diluted to others. So today, you cannot just buy Cosmos. You're going to have to buy the headliners. You're going to have to get yourself into Secret. You're going to have to get yourself into Osmo, Cosmos, Juno, and probably a few more second generation guys that will be headliners tomorrow as well, because the second generation airdrops has already started and it's too late for you to be eligible for it. So if you're talking about entering today, you're entering ahead of the third generation drops. And we said there will likely be lots of them, and each of these airdrops require actions. So imagine the time, the amount of time it will take to participate and integrate with these chains to get the biggest rewards possible, knowing that 80% of it will be absolute crap. It's going to be more and more complicated as this complex mesh will pull itself into this game. So if you try to make simple solutions like, boy, I'm just buying Atom, it's going to be easy. Well, very much more complicated than that. You have to be smart in that ecosystem if you really want to profit from this at low risk taking. Here comes the third thing you need to understand. Okay, so first thing is that the value accrual of Atom decreases over time as you get more and more reward, and you have to be more and more picky on those that you want to hold and those that worth shit. Though the value you take out of the constant distribution of your Atom value isn't necessarily going to be that rewarding in the future. So the Cosmos Hub is at a crossroad. And therefore, lots of insider and those who understand how this thing works have real serious concerns about the Atom future. And this is totally understandable. So 2022 is a massive year for Atom. And I'll explain everything about that now. Okay, now we focus on Atom. We understand this token economics, we understand this cyclical airdrop season that led us to where we are now, and understand what's about to change. Because like we said, this mechanic isn't sustainable. And as things mature, if Cosmos Hub remains the way it is today, it's probably going to dry out. So number one situation is nothing changes. And this was just no more than a bullish range. As you can see, this is just oscillatory system. There's no breakout, there's no trend. Meaning that if we keep on doing that way, then the Cosmos Hub will do what it thought it could be, what the founders themselves thought it could happen. It will, over time, dry out of interest. And as there is constant sales from the team, there are no crazy sell, but this is still some dilution over time, and there is inflation. So the token price, if nothing changes, is probably going to turn out going in a bearish range, meaning that this will be the top of the range, this will be the bottom of the range, and prices will oscillate in between. There will be no price increase. There will just be the slow staking rewards over time that will likely be compensated with price decrease. So there's no value to take out of the Atom if you want to invest into this. This is the model that people can buy into today if they do not understand. There is a chance that this can happen. The founders themselves have said it. But they've also said that the sole purpose of the ecosystem on the Cosmos Hub in the general ecosystem is first of all to bootstrap, which it did. And we're at the tipping top of bootstrapping. Now we have to transition. If the Cosmos Hub wants to survive, it has to be what it was meant to be in the first place, a security service hub for the entire ecosystem. Not forced, which means everything is permissionless. We have to make people adopt the Cosmos Hub. So this is really the complex thing. 2022 is a confidence vote for the Cosmos Hub in the ecosystem. Does the rest of the ecosystem want the Cosmos Hub to be there and be active as a security hub or not? If not, then over time, there's going to be constant sales to create new shit, and we'll get the derivative rewards from the forms that we've said, but these rewards will less and less compensate the actual price poor performance, and over time, people will drive away. It's just that simple. Investing in Atom will probably do not drive losses. Remember, you're still going to get money from other sources to compensate, but the attractivity of the coin will very likely decrease over time. And bearish pressures have no long lifespan in the crypto market as people are boasting for gains. So a negative price pressure will certainly drive people away. And in that perspective, I think over time, yeah, the Cosmos Hub could die. This is option A. And as always, trading is not about option A. It's about what are the two options? What are the two alternatives? Major probabilities. And how do we risk manage between them? So this is option A. Let's talk about option B. We have to look at this because, of course, these guys are smart. If you think they're dumb enough to not understand these things, they do not understand. So they know that the Cosmos Hub is about to change, though what's the roadmap? What's ahead of the Cosmos Hub? The devs that they're making, and remember that the core idea is we code for everyone. There is not a chance that we're going to create something that is solely designed for the Cosmos Hub. Everything we create can be used by everyone else freely. So if there's one thing that the Cosmos Hub can be that no one else can be out there, you have to go back to the roots. What is Atom and Cosmos Hub having that makes it special? Because this is the only thing that differentiates the Cosmos Hub to the other blockchains, and that will ever eventually make it its own thing. And they've made it smart. The Cosmos Roadmap 2.0 is just taking all the adventures of the Cosmos Hub and trying to cement them forever to be essential in the ecosystem. Is it going to succeed or is it going to fail? This will be for you to choose. I've made my choice, but of course, I'm going to have to risk limits, and we'll terminate with this. First, we explain everything. What's the Cosmos Roadmap? Well, the thing now for the Cosmos Hub is that the Cosmos Hub has particularly two things that other blockchains don't have. It's the first one. It's the most visible one, though. It's the one that you see on centralized exchange. It's the one that enables the best communication tools, not to mention the Cosmos Signal stuff or whatever. It's like, this is the first thing you heard about when it comes to learning about the Cosmos ecosystem. So this is kind of the entry door. Liquidity, because of being old enough, very liquid on all the exchanges and all of these things. So this is the entry door for the Cosmos ecosystem. And they definitely figured it out as being a pro element for the Cosmos Hub to survive. The second one is that it is the most expensive blockchain in the ecosystem. It serves absolutely no purpose right now, but it's still very expensive. And if you understand, it's always been the case for one reason. The entire purpose of the Cosmos Hub has always been security. It serves no other purpose but being secure. And security is the first derivative of price in a proof of stake. The higher the price of the token, the higher the stake is there to secure the transactions and the blockchain itself. So if the Cosmos Hub is meant to be the validating chain by renting security, then it has to be the most expensive blockchain in the ecosystem. And as the ecosystem grows, it has to be even bigger in terms of market cap as it grows with the shared security model. So sharing security has always been the purpose of the Cosmos Hub. And 2022 is the year it will transition to, or fail and die. But it's not just about that. What I like is that this was the sole purpose, but they found something really smart that I haven't been thinking about in the first place. So I'll uncover this. There are 4 major upgrades this year. The first one will be absolutely massive for me, but not the way people think of. I'll explain everything. So Theta upgrade is expected Q1 2022, and basically, in terms of roadmap completion, they generally are pretty damn good. So I expect this to happen at the end of Q1, so pretty much the end of March, or probably early May, or early April, but considering it, normally they do not delay. And I hope they won't, because if there are delays in 2022 roadmap, big problems ahead. Okay, so the first one, probably not going to be delayed. I'm going to bring some new modules, okay? I'll let you understand everything about it, but the big thing is Interchain account module. This is new. This is not something I expected back then, because that wasn't part of the initial roadmap, but this is real smart. They've been taking advantage of the recent updates in cryptocurrencies in general and new tech to bring it into the Cosmos Hub. So this is great. What this thing is going to do is that basically it will allow a host chain to perform actions on a control chain. Of course, everything is permissioned, which means the controlled blockchain will have to enable that module and enable certain functionality. And this is all, of course, on demand, which means they take whatever they want and they do not take whatever they do not want. Then, of course, it is on an account-to-account basis, meaning that the blockchain has to activate the module and some of its functions, and then each and every account will have to activate this module as well. So this is really, really permissioned all along. Everyone chooses whatever they want. This is really great. This is really nothing. Once again, the same old vision. Nothing is going to be imposed. You choose everything you want. Every blockchain in the Cosmos ecosystem is its own self-sovereign chain. They decide everything they want in or out. Okay? So what I like about this thing is, once again, everything in here has been designed specifically for the Cosmos Hub. It's not written in hard code that only the Cosmos Hub will be able to do this, because this is not their vision. Everyone will be able to do this and to create actions on a controlled blockchain. But this is definitely headlined to be, this is what we want to be at the Cosmos Hub. We want to be able to control some actions on the other blockchains without being invasive at all, because you're going to be able to choose everything. We just want to make things easier for the users by centralizing actions from the safest, biggest blockchain, which is the Cosmos Hub, which can be nothing but the safe of people to derive their action in the Cosmos ecosystem from the Cosmos Hub, only if you guys allow us to. So what this thing is great tech, but it is mostly a confidence vote for the hub. If the major blockchain in the ecosystem refuses for some reason, that's a big problem for the Cosmos Hub. So what I pay attention to this thing is no more than how people will take it. It's a great thing, very great thing, and definitely going to be used in the future. But what I pay attention to is how does it work out for the Cosmos Hub as a confidence vote. Okay, then the second update for this thing, very interesting though, and I've really been surprised with this one because I never seen this come. This come for the Q2 2022. Okay, so expect it half of that year or somewhere around that. Brings a lot more new modules, liquid staking, new IBC update, NFT module, government module improvement. So this update has one sole purpose, creating the tech to prepare for the third generation of blockchains that will come by using all of these NFT governance module and everything. New tools mean new demands, means new blockchains will create. Though this is really like keep on pushing. And that's, once again, something I like. They like to take risks. They know that the core purpose of Cosmos Hub is interchain security. They should have been putting it in the first stages of that year, like immediately necessary. The Cosmos Hub is at risk, so we transition now. They should have done it. They're willing to take that risk, to say, you know what? We're going to delay that. We're going to first think about everyone else, bringing functionality, and we'll try to survive. I got them hope that the ecosystem in general will see that sacrifice and that risk that is taken by the Cosmos Hub. Because we think about others before thinking about our assets. We take the risks for the economy in general, the Cosmos ecosystem to thrive and progress. So the confidence vote that's going to be all along this year, I really hope that is going to work. Because there's going to be a second one. If the first one passes, what caught my eye is this. The governance permission Cosmosm instance on the hub. Because I never saw this one coming. This one is the only thing in the roadmap that is designed to be on the hub. Meaning that's a vote on the Cosmos Hub. Of course, this one will pass because of what it's about to be doing. If we take the example of what this could be, because this is the vision, to give some utility to the Cosmos chain, is that it will be the safest blockchain due to the shared security model, which we'll talk about later, and how it will value accrue. But what it means is that on a permission manner, all of the blockchains that say, yes, you can control some of the actions and so on, Cosmosm is no more than smart contract ability on the Cosmos Hub, meaning that the Cosmos will be able to execute smart contract things. Though it's certainly not going to be the equivalent of Juno, will be much more complex things. Cosmos will probably want to make things simple. They don't want to compete with Juno. They want to make their own things. What Cosmos wants to do is to make it easy for you to do everything in the ecosystem from your Cosmos blockchain. Meaning that, for example, you've got some Terra coins, some Juno coins, some Osmo coin. Like we said, you have to diversify into this ecosystem. It's not a choice. So let's assume you've got all of these blockchains. Okay, great. Though you're going to have staking rewards. if you stake, or LP rewards, if you provide liquidity, for example. So what you're going to be able to do from the Cosmos Hub blockchain, if you know how this works, today you're going to have to go Kepler, switch all of the accounts, take your profits, redelegate, whatever. It's really, really complex shit. Tomorrow, I think you're going to be able to automate everything, saying, okay, I'm going to deploy a smart contract that each and every 7 days is going to trigger action on all of these blockchains, if they accepted it, to, for example, claim my rewards and restake. Claim my reward and restake. So, but I don't have to do it myself. It will be done automatically by the smart contract. So automating your implication in the Cosmos ecosystem in general is what the Cosmos Hub is willing to do with this Cosmosm update and also the Interchain modules. But this is, once again, all permissioned. It works only if the others accept it. So confidence vote had to pass. If it does that, then you can do endless kind of very advanced thing. Like, for example, I have all this change. I can deploy another smart contract to say, okay, each and every month, I want you to reweight everything in my portfolio. I want to maintain 10% Terra, 10% Juno, 10% Stargaze, 10% Secret, 10% Osmosis, and, for example, 50% Cosmos. Then in that perspective, reweight all that shit each and every 30 months by taking the profits, redistributing, restaking, whatever. You can basically pilot everything from the Cosmos Hub. But this isn't extracting value off the things, because it still realizes transactions on their things and whatever. This is not like vampire kind of things. We're just trying to provide a service which everyone benefits, and mostly the end user. It simplifies its own experience with the entire ecosystem without driving money out of it. It's not picking from others to make it better for us. It's just servicing, which the Cosmos Hub has been meant to do in the beginning, creating service for everyone and trying to extract little value of it without being a vampire kind of things. And I like this vision. Very smart. I haven't seen this one coming, but I got them like, you guys at Cosmos, if you ever listen to this, good job. Okay, then what I like is the shared security model. They've gone even smarter than I thought, but the shared security, to make it simple, in this roadmap is going to be set in 3 stages. The first one is V1. It's going to be easy thing to try, see if this thing actually works. So they're doing it smart. They're not trying to release quickly. They do it in a smart way. But like I said, the further down the road we kick the can, the more dangerous it is, because 2022 has to be the transition year. And there was going to be lots of confidence issue in the Cosmos Hub and a battle around it. I'm pretty damn sure about it. So the later it comes, and it better has not to be delayed, but if it comes, I think, like we said, it's going to cement the Cosmos Hub stage forever in the ecosystem, but it has to be done right on time, and it has to be done well. The best one comes from Q4 and Security V2, in which we'll be able to get the full grasp of the security providing chains, which means what it basically is that a validator itself, on a validator basis, okay, not on a chain basis, each validator will be the ability, as an opt-in, of course, to choose to validate a consumer chain, which basically will have to pay for the service by sending their tokens, okay? So this is what it looks like in terms of our map of zones. So assume that there are multiple big blockchains, okay, and they're all going to rent their security. They will have different security layers, because basically the Juno security comes from the Juno use case. Most of the tokens are here to pay for Cosmosm transactions and whatever, and smart contract transactions, which means that the number of tokens circulating, lots of them are there for the utility, but the rest of them will be there to secure the blockchain, and they'll be able to rent that extra security elsewhere. Same thing goes for Osmosis, which will rent a liquid superfluid staking kind of security, which is collateralized by liquid pools, which means this is a lesser kind of security, but still security, and we'll have the pristine security coming from the Cosmos Hub, which sole purpose of the token is to secure the network. Cosmos holders will do nothing but rent security. They will perform a few bits of transactions for user experience like we see, and that can eventually be another blockchain that performs that. So the Cosmos Hub will have one sole utility to secure the rest of the ecosystem and eventually create simpler user experience. Okay, sorry about the pause. I just have to clear up an irritated throat. So this is what it is, okay? Understand that the security level will be different. And this is a very, very complex system, very, very much smarter and the things that have been put it out there either by AVAX or whatever. Understand that the security thing they want to build is so complex and so mashed up that, well, this is the smartest vision I've ever seen. We'll eventually make a separate video about how interchain security vision and validator roles in all of this will be absolutely massive in the future, but this is a topic that requires another 1 hour long video, so I'll save it for later, okay? So all of this thing is very smart, very, 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 very smart, because it's adaptive. And God knows what shape it will be like. But the major things that will be driving this thing is to understand that pristine security coming from the Cosmos, due to the fact that all of the Cosmos tokens are designed to secure the network, this will be the pristine security. So what that means is it's complex, but normally the Cosmos validator will be able to validate each and every third, fourth, fifth generation blockchains that will emerge, because if you understand, that's the latest kind of module that the SDK has to provide. Though the SDK makes it easy for people to create blockchains, okay? Then you've got liquidity providers who's been specialized in this, like Osmosis, will make it easier for you to liquid bootstrap and find some decent price action and sufficient liquidity to launch the token properly. And the remaining thing that makes people very, very working hard to build blockchains is to build a validator set. So tomorrow they'll be able to build their own validator set, customized to their needs. If they want cheap security, they'll be able to buy cheap security from cheaper chains, but they can rent their services for pretty cheap amounts. If they want pristine security, they're going to go for the Cosmos Hub. And if they want intermediate stuff, they're going to be doing this. But anyhow and anyway, it's going to be an on-demand stuff, meaning that each blockchain is on sovereign, which means they have their own needs in terms of securities or expenses and costs and whatever. So this is going to be an endlessly complex situation, which gets the best of everything and everyone. Everyone will get what it wants. You want cheap security, but you still need security to run the blockchain correctly. You're going to be able to rent it from multiple sub-level of security. If you want pristine security because for some reasons your activity is getting bigger, the number of transactions and the amount of transactions require higher security, for some reasons you're going to be able to rent directly to the Cosmos Hub, which means, if you understand it, the Cosmos Hub is going to be renting security to the pristiniest assets in the ecosystems, which makes Atom a very valuable coin, but we'll explain everything about it, okay? This is the fourth and final mechanic that you need to understand. Shared security makes the pristine security assets, which is supposed to be Cosmos, the one that validates the best chain in the ecosystem. And of course, it creates a very complex mesh. Understand that this is just the beginning. This is simple. This fucking complex mesh is going to be way more complex when it comes to third and fourth generation. Just look at the testnets today. Though understand that those who will rent security to all that shit isn't not only going to be the validators on the Cosmos, okay? Cosmos, as pristine security, will likely secure those who need the highest standards of security. And of course, they'll be able to pay more for this, which means the valuable tokens will very likely be secured by the most valuable security blockchains. Basically, the Cosmos Hub is supposed to be the pristine one. So there is very, very smart intrinsic value for Cosmos holders there, right? And we have to explain everything about that mechanism. The thing is that the bigger the ecosystem goes, okay, remember 80% of what's going to create is bullshit. Less than 20% is interesting, and only probably a few percent are magic, which is great because if, and we'll talk about all of the validator intelligence and validator role into this, if Cosmos is the biggest security blockchain, it will create and gather value from these pristine bullshits, from these pristine new blockchains, and probably will not validate the cheaper chains, will not have, because this is permission in both ways. Remember that the blockchain will request security from one blockchain or one validator or validator set, and this is permission on both ends. Validators will have to agree and saying, yeah, we like your projects, we want your token, though we'll validate you. And on the other hand, people will have to ask for the type of security they want. Pristine, less pristine, it's really on demand. So this is really smart way to make a complex, endlessly scalable validating set, don't you think? Much better than AVAX's subnet or bullshit like that. This is customizable endlessly. Okay, anyway, so let's go with this. Understand that as third, fourth generation and so on, capturing the value on this very big and complex ecosystem is going to be complex, but Atom is probably the one that will do it the best when it comes to security. Make it very valuable token, and also understand that the revenues from Cosmos is going to be very limited. This is the crucial part you need to understand. If I had to take a calculator, for example, Let's assume that. As this is solely purposed to secure the network, it's very likely going to pass over the threshold of 2/3 validator, which means that the actual inflation rate will be 7%. Let's assume that 80% of people are validating in the network, because that's going to be the sole fucking purpose of Cosmos. Well, we're going to get an 8.75 net reward, okay, per year, which means if we deduct the 7% inflation, which is no more than dilution of capital, we'll take a real return of 1.75% per year. This is even less than a 10-year yield in the US. So you have to understand that there is a complex mechanic between yield and price on bonds, because actually Cosmos will turn out to be like the bonds of today's economy in tomorrow's digital world. Cosmos will become as valuable as a bond today. Because of its cheap but safe yields, it very likely will have a tremendous price, which will furthermore increase its relative security. You have to understand that if Cosmos succeeds to transition to a security blockchain, boy, it's going to worth a lot more than today. It will bring up very little yields because the intrinsic yield from Cosmos's atom will be very, very, very little. It will have additional revenue stream coming from all the tokens that it will receive external revenues from by validating and sharing the security, okay? And like we said, we're probably going to be able to find the best tokens depending on which validator you choose, topic for another day. But understand that very little intrinsic returns on investment. Derivative will be there, but still limited. Validating will certainly not be as good as taking 30 or 40% of the supply being distributed solely to atom holders, but this will certainly be more than enough. You will have safe passive income. So in terms of asset behavior, this kind of asset, I see only one price action for this. Very expensive, very low volatile, because this is no more than the bond market. It will be extremely liquid. It will be reserved for the highest amounts of income because of the price that will be necessary to get into this token king thing. And the thing is that the rewards will be the safest but little, though in that perspective can only be very high entry price, the equivalent of what bonds are today in the massive debt bubble that we know. If this is on the verge to be what the Cosmos's visions was in the first place, the bazaar, let me explain what the Cosmos token price is about to be and what places in the general ecosystem it will have. The entire vision has always been this, but very little people really understood it. Cosmos is not an ETH killer. Cosmos is not an alternately or fuck or whatever. It's totally different. I've seen some people saying Cosmos is layer 0. This is bullshit as well. People don't understand anything about it. Cosmos is the infinite horizontal scalability. Okay? Understand it that way. If Cosmos atoms transition, what it's going to turn out to be is that there will be other blockchains like Cosmos in which purpose will solely be the security. Okay? There will be other hubs of security, solely just not Cosmos, as this thing will infinitely expand horizontally. But Atom should be forever the most pristine secure assets. There will be others, and new blockchains will have to decide which they want to. There's going to be an entire sub-economical stuff. It's going to be crazily infinitely complex, because this is exactly the same thing that happens in the real world today. You have to understand this. We're not changing the world. We're just making kind of a hybrid version of the world we know today and the digital world that's going to be around cryptocurrencies. The center of the maze in this economy is security. Now I hope you understand why I goddamn like an overweight Atom. This is a risky bet, because if for some reasons the Cosmos hub fails to transition, the Cosmos token, Atom, will probably depreciate slowly over time. But you have to understand one thing. Even if the Cosmos hub dies, this economic vision of security hubs, liquidity hubs that can infinitely scale horizontally, even if Cosmos dies, I'll take the value elsewhere. This is the reason why today, if you solely bet on the risk that Atom will succeed, and if you fail, you're probably going to lose some money. Or you're probably not going to make up for the investment you made. If you diversify, even if Cosmos dies, someone else is going to take that spot. That's why you have to buy multiple chains in this ecosystem, to make sure that even if the ones you're betting on dies, the value will be taken over by others. Because anyhow and anyway, the vision of Cosmos can survive without the Atom token. Its underlying value that I see today might not be in this token, but it's somehow going to be in another one. And if you're lucky enough to understand that this token will likely be airdropped to you, then you understand that the risk is very limited to jump into this ecosystem. There are two types of risk. The first one is maybe all of this is bullshit. But I don't think so. But this is one risk. If you invest everything you have in the Cosmos ecosystem in general, if it fails, you're going to lose it all. And there's a probability for this to happen. So I'm not going financial advice stuff, but if you invest more than 30% of your entire capital in the entire ecosystem, I think you're taking way too much risks. Of course, if you want to take more, it's up to you, but don't go down to black and white answers. Okay, you have to diversify. There are so many valuable stuff out there. Not to mention the ones I've studied before. Link is a very valuable token as well in its own economical stuff. Ethereum as well, and so on. This is a global economy. What Cosmos is doing is what they've always said they were doing. They're creating this big real economy bazaar. This weird complex mesh will evolve in an unpredictable manner. But this is required. This is the microeconomy of the digital transformation. All of the things that we've paid attention to before is no more than building ETH as a massive, massive headliner, like the big banks we have today. They will have billions and billions circulating to their networks, so they definitely have to be secure as well. ETH is a pristine asset because it has and forever will have to be secure. There will be alternate cheaper solutions, we've said, and I've given my personal favorite, but anyhow and anyway, most of the money will translate through the safest. The problem is that creates congestion, so we're going to have to scale horizontally. They're going to have to be subnets for these things. God knows which ones there will be. AVAX, Solanas, there are multiple competitors out there, but they're all going to have to face horizontal scalability issue, okay? There will probably be few concurrent in here and a massive ETH. Of course, I could be wrong, okay? I'm not going to be right all along, but this is the global vision I have for the crypto market. This is where the big money will play. This is where, this is big finance. That's going to turn out to be spread out into multiple chains and their sub-layers, either that is subnet or layer 2s or whatever. This is probably going to be an ecosystem for the richest to be in there, okay? If you haven't bought these tokens before, it's simply not going to worth it. Just the same thing as Atom. Atom is going to be the equivalent of this in this. Meaning the most expensive token to buy for very little rewards, but the safest as well. It is a risk-off asset for the Cosmos ecosystem. Now, let me explain everything. Of course, there is Link, which I think is going to be in between everything of it. The information layer that trickles down everywhere, in the big guys, in the layer 2s, inside the Cosmos ecosystem. I think Link is and has its own role. I've always made it clear, my personal portfolio reflects the way I see this ecosystem. And I've seen so many people explaining what they think about this thing. I don't know anything about the future, but from what I've seen out there, I've got a much more precise vision of these things. And this is the way I think, but this is the way I trade. I do not impose my thing. I just hope that you'll understand at some point that I might not be entirely right, but I think I do get it. Okay, so this is what this is, and I'm going to terminate with this, though no opium. Listen carefully. Remember the risks we've talked about. There can definitely decrease value of Atom, and this could be just nothing but a big range, which will decrease in time. Okay, option number 2 is if we switch successfully to this different economic model, which is security, pristine level of security shared among the top liners, but with very limited income, but safe income. Like I said, the only thing that it will do for price is that it will immediately shift prices. Though, like we said, there is a roadmap. So this is the expectable termination of shared security. Markets always anticipate. So if you think that the market will break out in January 2023, no shit, Sherlock. So what are the risks? The risks are, first one, delays. If we see delays throughout the years, not great. Second risk, lack of confidence. If we see people not activate in different modules, that will be a lack of confidence in the fact that they want to transition this thing. but everyone has to gain from it. If Cosmos Hub dies, then the financing for the entire ecosystem will dry out more quickly. If for some reasons we go with a transition over the Cosmos Hub, let me be real clear, the price targets tag are much higher than that. Look at the price distribution that we've mentioned earlier. This is no more than a big range. This thing has never trended. If it changes state, I've always made it clear this is a wave 5 extended price structure. So if this thing ever trends, it's going to trend at the end of the structure, and it's going to immediately shifts away from price area A to get to a price area B. God knows which one it will be. These are the targets I have. These are pure speculative targets, and I don't even know where the actual supply and demand will shift to and stabilize. Because to be honest, everyone, when this thing will start rising, will say, oh, this is a bubble, this is going to crack and pop and whatever. It's not. If you understand the token economics, if this thing succeeds, we're going to go from area A to area B and do the same shit afterwards, meaning there will still be a bit of volatility, but it will have the same old cyclical action due to the same intrinsic cycle of new chains created with new generation. This will create the same effect of revenue streams coming in, though we make more money, though the price retrace, and then there are less incoming revenues, so the price rise back up to compensate for the old yields. This is exactly the same thing as the smart money does today with the bond market. This is an arbitrage between yield and price, and this makes no shit being absolutely speculatively volatile. It is low volatile, heavily liquid, and reserved for big capital. So we've got everything. If you want to invest in the crypto market, great. Do not put all your money in the Cosmos ecosystem. Now you know everything there is to make a rational decision if you want to invest in this ecosystem. First thing, you're going to have to diversify. How much you want to diversify depends on how much confidence you have in the Cosmos transition. If you bet it all into Cosmos, well, you better have to be true. Otherwise, you're going to pass around all of the rest of these ecosystems' value. And there are crazy valuable stuff out there. Okay? Okay, I'll sum up everything in kind of a quick conclusion stuff. All right, I'm sorry guys, this is a 1 hour long video and I've always made it clear there's so much to cover, but now you know everything about this ecosystem, and I've seen no one out there just going as deeper into this project, explaining everything about the mechanics. So let me sum up everything. Atom has been the bootstrap of the entire dev for this thing. Though so far, it's been creating in multiple stages that weird economy. Back in 2017, this was like massive vision for years ahead. They've been financing this thing over the years until IBC finally came out to be true. At that point, we've seen some weird shit of economy that wasn't written hard-coded anywhere, but just people who worked together and who decided to share the value of something that they were never even forced to. They could have made millions for themselves. And they decided to share it all to keep on having that vision. These cypherpunks, boy, really, double thumbs up. No one else in the sector is doing such a thing. No one. So requires a shitload of vision to do this, and I like it. Only these guys can change the world. That doesn't mean it will happen. That just means I like these kinds of visions. Second thing, though, this thing starts to interconnect on the first generation. Those who were there before took tremendous amounts of their other value, but this value were hidden from the rest of the market, meaning that anyone who looked at the Cosmos token itself, the Atom token, no one see the actual value. We've seen a lagging coin who totally failed to capture value, which means everyone out there saw Atom as a worthless, shitty token, because basically it was trickling down value away from it to profit from others without receiving anything. So those who digged below the surface have understood that microeconomic system, and I did back then, but I came just a bit too late for it to catch on the first generation. Meaning that if you came in at a second generation like I did, I hope that by now you've already invested in these guys that you've missed. I did had to buy some Juno. I did had to buy some Secret Network. I did had to buy some other native first generation blockchain that are the big ones, the Osmos and so things. They haven't been given to me for free, so I had to buy them. You have to understand that if you have missed one round, you have to catch up on it. So second generation holders have to buy the first generation tokens, luckily with their gains, meaning that I've made profits from Atom prices and I also received derivative revenues from staking rewards and some things. I've been taking these rewards to invest in first generation assets, and you have to do it as well. You have to diversify. If you gamble everything on Atom, and if you're wrong, you're going to pass around the entire ecosystem's value, which would be an absolutely stupid thing to do. Now, if you are not in, meaning that you're getting to enter now, understand where you are into this whole process. Right now, the second generation guys are receiving the tokens, which means what us are doing is that we're just sorting those out. Lots of bullshit, so the shitty coins, I'm just taking them, selling them to buy the good ones instead. This is what we do now as second generation airdrops. And the first ones are taking them as well. We're taking their airdrops and we're sorting things that we want to keep with things that we don't want to keep. For us, it's a pretty damn convenient situation, meaning that we're already winning every time and anytime. We're already invested in the ecosystem in general, and we're taking money for free, which we choose to keep or not, which means our implication in the Cosmos ecosystem is already there. We've made the job before, so we're gonna just yield the benefits of the risks we took before. For us, first and second generation, we cannot lose money anymore. Even if it goes down, we're going to make money. And we're just going to, sometime over time, start selling some of our atoms slowly but steadily to transfer the value over wise. If atom fails, we're just going to take the remaining price of atom and slowly, not dump on your faces, but we're going to slowly sell to distribute the gains over others. I'm not going to sell my atoms, ever. But I'm taking 15% a year. And these revenues, instead of holding them in atoms, I'm probably going to use them elsewhere. And you have to understand that mechanics. If it fails, all the initial investors will distribute the money elsewhere slowly. So no one's going to dump on your face. But understand that you might be the one to catch the problem without ever having the revenues. If you're getting right now in atoms, there's only one way you can be profitable. If this thing succeeds, transposing its actual economic model away from these weird shit of derivative airdrops and value being taken away from the investors by switching to this security model. If we switch successfully, boy, like I said, the price tag will change significantly. It's not going to be a retail type of thing. It's going to be an absolutely expensive token because over time it will rapidly become an essential in the economy. And this will probably be a top 5 asset. I've always made it clear. I think Atom will set itself in the top 5 and never reach out ever again back down. It is a pristine asset if it succeeds. The if in here is very important, and how much you think it has a probability to succeed is how much you're going to spread Atom in your portfolio. Going 100% is not an option. It means gambling. No one's gambling in trading, so bet on risk limitation. How much you want may oscillate across 40% to 60 maximum % of Atom if you're really confident, but you have to buy the others now. It's too late if you do not already have them. And this is not for the sole purpose of receiving the third generation airdrops. Over time, these mechanics will dampen. We need to switch to a validation system now. So if I tell you to get these Osmos and all the things, it's because if the Cosmos Hub doesn't transition to security, these guys will do. The model in the entire eCosmos ecosystem is no longer about airdrops. So if you thought it, oh, these guys are getting massive airdrops, so I'm gonna get the ones later on. No shit, Sherlock. This thing is probably going to change, and you've got it all wrong if you've thought it that way. The next economic for Cosmos in general is shared security, and if you do not understand it, you're gonna get it all wrong. Buying Osmo is not because Osmo is great. Osmo is your insurance layer if you ever turn out to be proven wrong with the Cosmos Hub, because someone else will have to handle shared security anyway. The tech is gonna be out there for everyone to use. And the biggest blockchain in the ecosystem, being the Cosmos Hub if it survives, or other layer 1 top blockchains in the Cosmos ecosystem, will be the one that will rent security. The Terras, the circuit networks, these are going to be the one that will rent security. This is why you need to get them. Not because I like secret network, not because I like that, because this is your insurance if Cosmos fails. I hope you understand everything now. I'm sorry it was complicated, but I really wanted to go all the way around that. See you guys later.